Hello, good morning. The planet of rape. أهلا وسهلا أهلا وسهلا. How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? How are you? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. It's all the love and attention that you could possibly ever achieve in your life from planet of the rapes. Thank you. You're welcome. Habibi, how are you doing? This is the glorious man, Mr. Arash. Still haven't, the world hasn't had the honor to quite fulfillingly and yeah, that's basically to the highest possible level get to know me, but we're still working on that. No problem, no problem. Please share the honestly, I'm just saying, for the love of God, I'm not trying to earn any publicity here. I don't think I ever will, because I don't make any efforts in that. I just I really like people to know about things that funny. I think we all know about it anyways. A lot of us, we don't give a shit. We just do our own thing, basically, basically, man, it's so embarrassing walking around thinking you got some fucking hole in front of you, man. Damn it. Okay, I really shouldn't say this, but I'm wearing this pants that, yeah, it's so sexy and hot. Yeah, my zipper is kind of, it's because it's really tight, and my belt is also supposed to be like really technologically advanced, but really what it is like a really loose piece of shit. So yeah, what happens is that I'm just like a pussy pretty much. You know how the bitches, man, always like wear short clothes and shit like that? Actually, they don't do that anymore. Used to be. Yeah, going first years that it came out, those short clothes, I remember I had the interesting interaction. No, I was working at Accenture. I'm just saying. I know one thing leads to another. No, like it was like 2002 or 2000. It was 2003. I remember summer 2000. And like there's this girl who actually, I don't know, was she. Okay, anyway, she was like, her parents, I think, were from a Muslim African country. Oh, but she was wearing this fucking tight top, basically, and it was just, keep pulled up, and her belly, like, always keep constantly exposed. And I think she cared enough that she didn't want people to see her belly, but why would she want to wear a shirt to begin with or obviously nothing wear underneath it as an underwear that would cover that, right? So yeah, of course. So yeah, every 2 seconds she would just literally every minute she would just believe it or not, she would just get up and just straighten out her shirt and pull it down, and then psycho bitch, I go after her business. But I guess those days were way past in the history, yeah. Because you don't really see that anyways. So yeah, I'm like a pussy, old school pussy, as you may call it, where literally I have to be really watchful and then keep pulling down my shirt because I don't want so many people see my underwear. Alright, moving on. Yeah, it's so embarrassing, man. Yeah, I'm gonna change my pants, I think, sometimes in the near future. So I'll blame it on the goddamn the Americans who quit slavery and caused the cost of the cotton to rise, and now we have to pay as triple much money to get clothes. And as you know, I don't have a job, and I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be funny. It's really all it is. God forbid, I don't believe in anything close even to slavery. And it's just, I think it's kind of comment like when Borat said that. He said, yeah, I know as Borat is really the movie Dictator that Sacha Baron Cohen was starring, and he said like, well, a lot of unfortunate incidents happened this year. A lot of people are losing their lives. Saddam, Gaddafi, Milosevic, they all died this year, you know. So really, shit, those are people that we wish would never step in this planet. Dick Cheney, he also says. Dick Cheney also, yeah, funny. Oh shit. Anyways, so here we are. We are in North Carolina. I hate to say. I'm not gonna even try saying that. That is so fucking southern. And I hate that shitty accent. You know, it would be perhaps an interesting, intriguing, and very exotic thing to, you know, to fucking, you know, maybe have a taste of. That is just from far away. That's what I'm trying to say, you know? But, I've had some really ugly experiences with Southerners, so I don't want to be anywhere near. Thank you. That culture, really speaking, it's not really about the mentality, but it's really the. Well, excuse me. It's not about the accent per se. It's about the whole package that comes along with it. So that's what it is. So yeah, man. That's. Oh, this is one thing I want to say. Yeah, this is really one thing that got me to get started in this video. And how do you say that? Good morning, brother. How are you?
How you doing?
All right, man. And how do you say that? No, you know, funny in this country, man. You know, you have me who. I just don't care about my appearance, and I've been always like this. I swear, my mother. No, like I mean, I've gone through some changes in my life and stages, so things have happened to me that kind of drastically changed my life. But really, when I look back, going back when I was a little kid, you know, I remember from the old days, man. I never cared about my appearance, and that is really. As much as I hate it, they're really kind of looking filthy, man. You know, and I hate even using that word on myself, but I didn't see it in a bad way. It didn't strike me. I just never looked at it. I just, you know, appearance never really struck me as something that I need to perhaps to try to be good at or try to basically improve on myself, you know. Anyways, I said this before. I actually used to freakishly I remember my mom used to always say say, what is it with you, boy? You wear the same shirt forever till literally that shirt, like, I don't know, something happens to it and it's just not, it can't be worn, and you know, that's the way I was. And it's the same trend, it just carries on. So what I'm trying to say is that really it's not about necessarily me, my lifestyle, but what it is that here's what I wanted to say. You're like, dude, you have a serious problem, man. You can't express your main idea first and then elaborate. You always go around trying to make us think. Yes, I know, because you see, this is the problem with you Americans, man. You know, this is the what. No, really, this is actually more important thing to talk about. You see, you think you're a smart people, but you're really very stupid people. And I really have to say this. You don't realize how your supposed thoughts of trying to make things easy on yourself and more intelligent, that is to express the main idea and then elaborate on it, really has without you noticing perhaps, it's really worked against you and reduced your intellectual capacity. Now I mean it, this is serious. Because you know, unlike your culture and my culture, we start talking about things and giving cues about what we're trying to say as a main idea and express as main idea, and people start guesstimating and they can't start yes, really getting the cue. So they have to actually try to think, and they try. It is a normative thing. Yes, it's not just a thing where it's like, dude, can't you just tell me? No, this is not how it works. Actually, this is how you have to work your way up, Really, that's what it is. So you say things, and people, if I'm the person who's listening, you're the person listening to me, vice versa, where either way it works the same way. You have to get the cues, and little by little you pick up and say, oh, that's where you're going, that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. It really depends on your intellectual level. Some people are quicker to pick up, some people take them a little bit longer. Either way, that is how it is. But this is the problem. But anyways, this is what I want to say. So yesterday, this actually kind of was a climax of this. My problem is that I don't wear a watch, and my phone is usually always out of battery. So a lot of times I really need to ask people about time. And like I told you, here, well, you're not even in a city. You're in a suburban place where fucking there's nobody on the goddamn street. Everybody's driving, flying by, And where do you need to possibly, if you want to ask time, you're going to do? You're going to get yourself to some shopping place, to some store or something. And believe me, I actually ran into some serious problem for this, And, you have to approach somebody, or, try it from a distance or something. I try to get, ask them for time, and some people, they don't talk to you because I don't know what is their fucking problem. Maybe that's what I was trying to, that's what I'm earlier I was referring to. I don't know, my appearance is not good, which I don't know how really that plays into it anyways. But it's a fucking America. It's all about superficiality. But it's not really just America. No, I have to be fair. Unfortunately, we live in the world of extreme, and extreme is what really fucks your brains out. Somewhere you have a lot of money, more or less, and somewhere you just barely making it. Basically, like country like Georgia, they're so poor. They're very poor. They're so poor. I'll give you an example. They're so poor. I know psychology. I'll just tell you this. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that they're so poor. So, to hide their poverty, basically, they have come up with this very elaborate system where they have these thrift stores that you can buy a very, very brand even name, designer brand name clothes at a thrift store for a very, very little money. It's already washed clean, matter of fact, to begin with. It's really clean, top notch. But aside from that, so for a very little price you can buy those kind of things. But the theme is always one thing. Try to look very, very your best. Always, like, you might have the cheapest ass clothes on you, but the clothes always has to be clean and always brushed off and looking, clean. No, it's not about the cost of the clothes. It's about the clothes looking clean and looking decent. That's what it is. And I always had the same problem in the same department when I was in Georgia. I lived in Georgia for 1 year, and one way or another, I had a problem communicating with people because, this has so many aspects into it. Number one, Georgians, they're very racist, and they don't. If you don't speak their language, basically, you just you don't belong to human race. Funny, people who've been always abused and ignored and fucked with, now they're doing the same shit to other people. How cool is that, right? You would think somebody who been a victim themselves, perhaps they can afford to be a little bit more decent to other people, but no, why do we want to do that? So anyways, so it's all about poverty, unfortunately. Now here's one thing you made me think. I want to tell you this very interesting thing. For some reason, Georgians, primarily speaking, they have a serious. They don't like Iranians. They just don't like Iranians, and they bring this back to the history where Georgia was part of Persia, Iran, And although Georgia prospered a lot when they were in good terms with the Persian mainland, that is, they did not rebel against us and they paid their taxes, basically. How do you say that? Twice there were incidents that they wanted to become independent. And in both times, the Persian king, they take their army to Tbilisi, to Georgia, and they, that's pretty ugly scenery. What they also do is that they, to break off this chain of command and military, structure they had created. Basically, they take a lot of these soldiers, the Georgian soldiers and Georgian people also, as they bring them as servants. They capture them, they apprehend them, and as a prisoner of war, basically, or whatever you want to call them, they have them moved to Iran. They come and bring them to Iran. And they start working in households of the king or the riches, basically, or whoever, basically, I don't know. And even though they were, they became Muslim, they were Persianized, basically speaking, they were speaking the language, and they were assimilated well into the culture eventually. That's another thing also, but they're always mad at this, and I can relate to that because, it's just like tearing apart the families, so forth, because it was not just the soldier who would take in, and that would be fine if you were to do that. They would also take some, I don't know, their wives with them too, or I don't know how it worked really. I was not there. I'm not going to say anything about it. This is what all we know, really, primarily speaking, is that they took a lot of military, primarily speaking, different levels of military structure in Georgian army, and they took them, back with them as a servant and so forth, and women who happens to be, I don't know, their wives, their children, or some random chick, basically. Oh, yo, bitch, you coming too, okay? I like you. You be my, you're my primary source of service. Yeah, I know. But anyways, so they really... But, speaking of hate, they hold a grudge a lot. This happened 250 years ago. The first incident happened 600 years ago. The second incident was 250 years ago, which you would say, dude, what the fuck, man? Can't you just get over it with? No. The Russians have done a lot worse things with them. Funny is that in regard to this one particular thing, the reason... Going back to this one, the last incident, the second of the two, the reason that the Georgians, they felt confident that they would be able to sustain, and perhaps in fighting they would match the Persians, even the Persians were known all the way through till this fucking gunpowder came along as the best, fighting machines ever. How do you say that? Nobody dared to attack them. Even the fucking Russians, they didn't dare to fuck with the Persians till they got their hands on gunpowder. This new fucking thing, gunpowder. Fuck the whole thing up. But anyways, that's another story also. So they felt confident attacking, basically claiming independence and the fact that they would be able to sustain. That is, they had come into an agreement with the Russian Czar that they would declare allegiance to the Russians and the Russian king, and in return, the Russians would protect them against whoever would basically want to aggress against them or wage war on them, being the Ottomans, the Persians, I don't know, the Armenians, anybody, whoever they would be the aggressor or the whoever they would enter into war with, they will protect them, basically. Kind of like, today, where like America is supposedly the proctored state for some countries, But no, when this actually happens, the Russians don't do shit about it. They don't do absolutely nothing. They totally abandon them. But I'm not gonna say the Georgians love Russians, no, a lot of them they have problems with them too, or seriously, or they just generally, the Georgians are very grudgy. They're very serious. And speaking of grudge, here's the thing. So every time I was in Georgia and I would talk to a girl, I don't speak Georgian. So how would I talk to them? I was talking to them in English. Hey, how are you? What's going on? My name is Arash. Hey, blah blah blah, whatever. And they always give me the same line. I say, oh no, we're visiting from a different city. Oh no, we're from a different city. Same exact line. But anyway, that's another thing. So how do you say that? Now this one thing that was really striking. So they had these buses basically that I took a few times, and there's like the front seat right next to the driver where it's really like a seat and a half. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. It's not a full one seat. It's not two seats. It's just enough for one. Really, ideally, if you have feelings of a little privacy for yourself, just one person sitting. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like here, like excuse me, I say that, but like niggerish behavior where you feel like you have a claim and same exact shit. Yeah, I remember three young girls who they actually seemed very attractive. They feel like it is their duty that they have to come and they have to sit next to me so they can claim that little spot that they was left. You know what I'm saying? And it would be okay for them to sit next to me and be very close to each other, and rather, I'm not gonna say intimate necessarily, but have that kind of close, physical thing with each other. Do you know what I'm saying? It's so fucking psychotic, isn't it? But no. If you actually wanted to have a relationship with them, why would you want to do that? This is what poverty does to you, man. It's not poverty, it's culture too. But specifically in case of Georgia, even though they had done some ugly things themselves to Armenians and other people too, but it's really cross-border if you feel like kind of in the Caucasus lands and in the northern lands, and it was always caught in crossfire basically, and whoever wanted to somehow cross over, they would have to pass through this barrier. Basically, they were aggressed against a lot, the Ottomans, the Persians. Although, then again, no, really, you have to be very careful with Persians. This is serious, man. I don't know what you know about the Persian Empire and the Persians. This was one thing we did. We did go on expedition of taking lands. We did that. So, and that one way, we're just as fucking as, just like a fucking Americans nowadays. We're just as guilty and goddamn fucking as barbaric as you may call. No problem. And I totally regret it, and I totally accept partial responsibility. I mean, it's not my fault. I didn't do anything. But I feel awful because of my ancestors having done something like that. There's one thing though, is quite sets us apart, is that once we took the land, we came to some kind of terms with the locals, and it was really a loose federation, the Persian. This is true. Enough that these little states that are part of the Persian Empire, they felt so confident at some point of coming up with a rebellion, because we gave them all what they wanted. They were allowed to have their own rulers, and not just the ruler, the administration of the whole country was really primarily speaking their own thing. In case of perhaps Georgia, they're all the Georgian and the people working at their court, doing the business, whatever they need to do, administering their things, as well as the king or the queen, and so forth. They were able to, when they wanted to become Christian, and nobody went on the business of trying to force them to not become Christian, or trying to wage a war on them, say, hey, no, motherfucker, you're under my rule, how dare you change your religion, or so forth, No, we'll let them want to be who they want to be. I said this before. Funny is that if you actually go to Tbilisi, it's very interesting. the churches that they have, some of the very old churches that they have in Tbilisi, they were built on the fire temples that were Zoroastrians prior to that. But the structure is actually exactly they kept the structure. The churches have 4 levels because it was a caste system that in the last part of the Persian Empire's dynasty was in proper process. It was the caste system they created, unfortunately. The peasant, the military, the clergy, and the royal, they each would sit in a different level, basically, and it's the same exact. It's very interesting, right? So they're Christian now, and they're not Zoroastrian anywhere, but they kept the same structure. So it's very interesting. Although one might wonder is that, so wait, maybe they were allowed to have their religions, but no, dude, no, this is serious. I can't really say that. They were not supposed to adhere to any. Really, I believe for the most part, I'm not a historian, I don't know this for sure, but I think that what I'm saying is very truthful. The caste system was really, really in effect. I don't know how to say it. Okay, you know what? This is a good question, actually, because I was just about to contradict myself. I was gonna say that I think the caste system was really among the Persian mainland itself, and the Persian, culturally Persians, but if that was the case, how was it spread out to all these territories that we had control over? And that's an interesting question. So is that the answer to it? Like, they were allowed to change their religion, but they had to adhere to the caste system. So they built the churches to be able to basically to abide by the caste systems that the Persians had put in process to. Oh, I don't know, man. That one thing is a good question. I don't know, but all I know is that even this one tradition was so rare, and it continued even after Islam came in. They continue to do the same thing and say, you know what, this is a deal. You pay taxes, you give us manpower, and in return, you're allowed to have your own thing. You can do whatever you want to do. Just don't rebel against us. There's one consistent rule. And slavery. Slavery was by all means. There's one code that all the nations of the empire had to adhere to. I'm not trying to really portray this glorious image of the empire, because I didn't live there, and to begin with, like my friend said, and she's so rightful about it. You're like, dude, you have a friend? Well, I had it. We were friends before. We're not friends anymore. She became really crazy at some point. Like, well, maybe you did something, you made her crazy. Maybe you're right, yeah. But anyway, that's another thing. She said, it's like kind of like taking somebody's child away, and now trying to tell them that, okay, by the way, I'm letting you keep it, but, as long as you realize I'm the one who really owns this baby. I know this is your child, but it's mine, really. But yeah, I'll let you keep the child, so long you really realize that at the end of the day, you're really more like a nanny here. That's what it is. Don't get an idea that's really prophesizing that you're really indeed the child, the parents, and you might want to think of taking this child away and kidnap him or something, or and that totally makes sense. I understand that, but anyways, it's not a very, but the rule was a lot more better than certainly Ottomans or anybody else. Unfortunately, humans are very dominating. But what really, I want to say this, I think this would make sense, right? What is the most important thing to you? If you feel like somebody's so enough, they letting you keep your freedom, what was the really primary thing back then? Religion was like a really high thing, still is today. If people letting you have your own ways, and they're providing you security. In return, they're just asking you that, for the love of God, just pay taxes and just give them manpower. Wouldn't it be worth it? Who cares? So so you want us to go on a whole expedition and trying to do this thing where just we can be an independent nation? And what are we gonna do then? What's gonna be the different case scenario after that? Just so we can say we're independent? And we already have what some people would struggle to have when they're deprived of it, and that gives them a reason to want to rebel against somebody. We already have what we want. The only thing we don't have is yes, we're not technically independent. That's the only difference. So you want me to go on this whole thing? Who cares? And the Persians are great in military. They're good administrators. They know how to run this state. They know how to manage their territories. And they're also good in the wars and fighting. So who cares? Let them do the work. They're securing our borders. They're kicking out, warding off the nomads and all the people who are attacking us. Who gives a shit? Just like kind of a thing that I say about America. As much as I hate this system that they have created, trying to basically control and dominate the world with this massive, expansive network of bases that they have put in the world, and really subjugating all the people by getting them to, in their very own country, having a military base. It's crazy, right? But that aside, I have no problem. Matter of fact, one way coming in terms to Americans saying, you know what, I would love to use your military expertise. As much as you've done nothing with this military apparatus to harm us, but it's okay. It's not okay, but I want to use that. You provide this thing, go on your same business as you were doing before. Try to be military, try to be, developing all these things, whatever you're doing. But in a positive way, where it would be used as basically trying to create security for everybody, not to dominate themselves. Really as like a private company, security company would hire to try to perhaps create safety and security for your whatever was a residence, as a business. You know what I'm saying? In that terms. Anyways, as usual, I'll talk a lot. Have a good day. I will discuss matters further with your superior